We are live.
All right, welcome fight fans and the MMA community to another awesome week of UFC fights. Live to fight another day with SDP on MMA here. I'm here with my dad, Shadow Don, and myself, SkyDon. We're going to be covering UFC Fight Night 118 today, and that is Till versus Cerrone. That's going to be an explosive fight, and I think there's going to be a lot of good points to give on both sides of that fight. But that's on October 21st, 2017 at Ergo Arena in Poland. So we're going all the way to the other side of the world for this.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it. There's going to be some good fights on the card. As we were just talking, we're actually looking forward to the upcoming fight night after this one. There's a whole lot more exciting fights on that card, in my opinion. But this one looks like a good one. We've got some of our favorites that we've been watching, some of the up-and-comers on the card, and looking to see if Darren Till can keep on his legacy. But yeah, we're excited. So we'll jump into some pre-fight analysis, like you said, on UFC Fight Night 118. And before we get started, I just want to let you know, just a shout out, we are looking for someone to come join our team and give us some help with our audio and visual side of the show. Preferably someone who's knowledgeable in MMA and UFC, but at the very least, a fan of the sport. We got a lot of killer ideas for the show, but we lack the technical ability to put it all together. So again, we'll need your help. If you're interested, just shout out to us, give us a comment. We'll get back to you ASAP. So, yeah.
Also, don't forget to subscribe and check us out on Twitter at SDP_MMA. We're always there on fight night, and we love the conversation. And don't forget to comment as well. Anything you disagree with, agree with, or even if you just want to talk some shit, let's do it.
Yeah, definitely, man. And if you're out there and you enjoy the show, give us a shout out. Leave a comment. If you don't, leave a comment. Let us know. We try to make it better every single show. Also, before we get going here, we are still got a drawing going, so if you're interested in winning a Topps UFC Michael Bisping signed card, just drop a comment in the comment field at the bottom and listen through this program and write in the fight of the night that I'm going to predict on UFC 118. And we'll get you in for that drawing coming up prior to the UFC, 217, right? Bisping St. Pierre?
Yes, sir.
Can't wait.
That's gonna be the card of the year right there.
Well, that's the one I'm looking forward to. So yeah, man. Well, let's get started tonight. Again, UFC Fight Night 117 kicking off in Poland. It's going to be live on UFC Fight Pass. Once again, if you are a member of Fight Pass, man, this is where it cashes in, because this is the only way you're going to see these fights until they're posted probably out on YouTube or somewhere like that. But yeah, first fight of the night, we've got Felipe Arantes versus Josh Emmett in the featherweight division. I'll start off. Arantes, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist from Brazil, likes to fight in Brazil. I'll tell you that much. This is another one of those fools that wears a cowboy hat into the ring. So him and Cerrone, I guess, can yeehaw! This is a fight, gentlemen, not a rodeo. He first fought...
and that's coming from two Texas boys, too.
That's right. Arantes first fought in bantamweight in August of 2015 versus Yves Jaboin. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but anyways, he won by an armbar in the first round. I watched a fight that he had in November 2016 versus Eric Perez, where he lost by unanimous decision. And he fought Andre Fili at featherweight, and he lost by unanimous decision as well. The guy's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. He has lots of tricks, lots of submissions that he can pull. He's really good on the ground and on his back, but the guy's having a tough time. Josh Emmett, this is a high-level wrestler out of Sacramento, California. In April of 2017, he fought Desmond Green. It was Green's UFC debut in the lightweight division, and these two banged it out for 3 full rounds. Green won that by split decision. Amazing fight. it's a good one to watch. And prior to that, another amazing fight was with Scott Holtzman, where it went all 3 rounds. Josh won that fight by unanimous decision. What he'll look like at 135 pounds is anybody's guess to me, and I think that is the key factor in this. But he's going to come in very strong. He's probably going to be the bigger framed guy in this. And I think, with all that being said, he is my pick. I'm just trying to figure out where my card is, where I can tell you by what. I picked Emmett by decision. How about you? What you got on that first fight?
I think this will be a good fight for a couple different reasons. I like that Felipe trains at Shoot a Box with Diego Lima. So he's got crisp striking, but you're right. You stated it perfectly. He's having some problems, and I can't put my finger really on what it is, but at 18-8 and he's losing by decision. Decision is how Josh Emmett wins fights, because he grinds you out with wrestling. Out of his Josh Emmett's 11-1 record, he has 6 decision wins. He's training at Team Alpha Male. He's got gas for days, and he's dropping pounds, which means he's even going to have more gas. So I think you called this right on the money. He's coming off of a tough loss to Desmond Green, where I think, if I remember right, Josh Emmett won that first round pretty dominant. But yeah, no, I think the wrestling is going to overtake the fight in this one.
All right.
So Josh Emmett by decision.
Well, Vegas has got Josh Emmett by -315, so he's definitely favored here.
And for good reason. If you just go study his highlights, and that's really all you need to watch, it explains everything that he is. He has great double legs. He has great pressure. He does not like to give much room. And at 5'7", that's how you fight. That's how you go out and you take the room and you take the space and the separation away from the fighter. And Felipe, I think, is an inch or two taller than Josh. So to have that game plan, to stick to it, and then also to be at Team Alpha Male, making sure you're priming what you're good at and what your wrestling base provides, I think that this should be a dominating performance.
So what's your
Josh Emmett by decision.
All right, cool. Next fight brings us to Lina Lansberg versus Aspen Ladd in the women's bantamweight division. Lina Lansberg, known as the Elbow Queen, Swedish fighter, world Muay Thai champion. In September of 2016, she made her debut in the UFC. She fought Chris Cyborg in the first women's catchweight fight. It was pretty cool to watch. Cyborg got the better of Lina in the clinch with strikes and knees. She took Lina down pretty easily and controlled her from mount. In the second round, Cyborg took Lina down again, and she ground her ass out with ground and pound and until the ref jumped in and called the stop. The only thing I can say is you got to be tough to get in there with Cyborg. Number one, she showed no fear. Number two, she's tough. She took a lot of punches and just didn't stop coming. She didn't give in easily. In March of 2017, her last fight, she fought Lucy Pudilova in the bantamweight division, where she engaged in the striking match. Literally, the clinch work there was probably what did it. Lina displayed amazing elbows, constant pressure. My only complaint is how many strikes that girl takes to the face. She was busted up, man, but she still won the match by unanimous decision. Go watch this fight, dude. If you're out there and you haven't seen it, go watch that fight. Lina looks like she lost at the end, but she wins it. And man, that girl's tough. She is slightly favored here, in my opinion, for me, simply because she seems so dominant with strength. Ladd, let me ask you this. What do you know about Ladd?
I've studied a lot of Ladd film, actually, because I was betting on her in Invicta FC, which I think that's right where she came out of. Yeah, she has all of her fights have been in Invicta. So I saw her fight Jessica Hoy, and ever since I've kind of been all about her. And I like her because this is her game plan. And I've told you, in the women's division, I like chicks that neutralize with jiu-jitsu and wrestling. just because the chances of having the knockout power are very slim. Very few chicks can knock a chick out. So she's kind of realized that she doesn't have all of that. Although she can knock you out, it's usually through ground and pound and beating you up with elbows. So what I like is she neutralizes her opponents with jiu-jitsu. She smothers them real heavy. She causes you to double think about maybe moving to the left when you should have moved right. And it's those little things on the ground that can really screw you. I like how she throws short elbows and punches from the clinch. And she's super heavy on top. So this is a very close fight for a lot of different reasons, because the elbow queen likes to smother, also likes to put you against the fence, also likes to use short elbows and punches. They're very similar in that aspect, but the difference I saw on the ground is Aspen Ladd will neutralize you. She's doing more thinking on the ground than fighting in order to get leverage enough to where she can just keep your back on the ground. And we saw that with Lina and Cyborg. Now, am I saying Aspen is Cyborg? No. Those are two different levels of fighters. But what I am saying is Aspen had to have saw that film and went, if I get top mount, which Aspen does that in almost every one of her fights, she'll use the judo toss and find a way to get mount. If that happens, Lansberg, I didn't see anything in that last fight to tell me she's good there. In fact, she panicked in her fight with Cyborg when Cyborg got the mount. So I'm going to go Ladd, but this is going to be a really, really, really tough, grueling fight because they both fight the same standing.
I'm going to tell you, I went and watched two of Ladd's fights, and really and truly, I don't think she's a threat at all without that BJJ.
Right.
She is a purple belt, and I think that's really what she is absolutely relying upon. I don't know that she's going to be able to take Lina's strength. We'll see. When Lina gets down there into that ground and pound position, when she's dominant, man, she drops those elbows. She's known for she just drops bombs. So I like the way she strikes from top mount. I don't know really a whole lot about what she can do from her back, and that's kind of scary, but if she's going to follow her game plan, she's going to try to outstrike Aspen. And Aspen, to me, doesn't carry a lot of weight in her strikes at all. I didn't see anything dangerous. I didn't see anything that she put out that Lina didn't already take from Cyborg. And like you said, though, that's two totally different fighters. So we're going different here because I am picking Lina by decision. What do you got Ladd by?
I got Ladd by TKO, ground and pound.
What round?
The third.
Okay. Vegas odds. Aspen Ladd is favored, -225. Lina Lansberg at +175. So
that's interesting. That means Vegas is seeing what I'm seeing. Yep. They're seeing the neutralization. When it goes to the ground, I'm telling you, Ladd is levels ahead of anyone she goes against on the ground. The only person she didn't beat and she lost, but went 3 rounds with was what's the girl I like? She's Cynthia Calvillo. She went 3 rounds with her and handled her jiu-jitsu very well. So
she did. However, I watched that fight too, and Cynthia totally controlled her, in my opinion, on the ground. You know, I was waiting. I really was. I was waiting to see because she kept trying to wind up and catch her in an armbar or a triangle, and even the strength of Cynthia Calvillo overwhelmed her on the ground. So if she's on her back, if you think Cynthia brings it, let me tell you, when you're up at that level of Lina Lansberg and Cyborg, the way they throw it from the top, it is a different ballgame. So. Yeah, we'll come back and definitely discuss that one because I'm anxious to see how that plays out.
Also, interesting note, she fought Cynthia when she was 20 years old. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago. You're right.
So to hang it with a chick at that level of jiu-jitsu, and we know that's top as it gets as far as women's jiu-jitsu go. Like her and Rose Namajunas, those chicks' jiu-jitsu is just on another level. So to hang with that, I don't know, man. I'm expecting big things, and clearly Vegas is too. But I could totally see how Lina can land a flush elbow and cut her face open and end the fight. I mean, that's the reality of this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this next fight has had a couple jumbles due to I have no idea what, but I know this is the second guy to pull out, and now they've put in Salim Touahri. I didn't know a whole lot about Salim until I went and looked, and I was pleasantly surprised with this cat. He's up against Warlley Alves in the welterweight division, and up until this change, I was going with Warlley. Let's see what I pulled up here on. Like I said, my homework was on Wallhead. I had Jimmy Wallhead, who was in there as of last, and I had Alves over Wallhead. Alves, Brazilian kickboxer. He's a tough winner. His last fight was in November 2016, where he fought Kamaru Usman. Usman beat that boy's ass for 3 rounds solid, man. I was shocked. I noted in the third round that Alves had Usman in a guillotine choke and actually begged the ref to stop the fight. I mean, he wanted out. He wanted it to be over with. He didn't even care that Usman wasn't tapping. He literally was begging the ref to please stop this fight because he knew he had lost it, and if he let go, it was over with, which is exactly what happened. It was the only moment he had control over Usman. I watched his fight with Colby Covington from UFC 194, and he finished Colby with his signature guillotine choke in the first round. The difference there, time. Alves, he's getting older, and big difference between UFC 194 and where he was back just recently in November of last year. Also, when you look at size, when I compared the two, Kamaru Usman is a strong guy, but so is Colby Covington, and what a great wrestler. So, you would have expected really somebody to kind of, grow from that experience, and I didn't. It seemed like more of the same. So I don't know that boy's really changing his game plan. However, I'm going to say this. Like I said, I had Alves up until I went and looked at this other cat. And
what are you seeing with this kid? Because I just noticed that it changed. I had the other fight, so I'm gonna have to look this kid up right quick while you're talking.
Well, that's exactly where I was, because when I went back and just seeing before we started if anybody had changed, this guy Salim, he is 10-1. He is from Krakow, and
he's a local boy there.
He's another. Yeah, they filled it with a local boy, and let's see, he is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist. He fights out of Grappling Krakow.
He's a juicy motherfucker.
Yeah, man, he's got very little body fat. Dude's pretty cut up. But yeah, I went and checked him out, and dude's a pretty fun guy to watch fight. I don't know really what kind of level he's going to be at when he comes in here. We always talk about this. When you step into the UFC, where are you?
He's got a great double leg and good position in the mount.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go with him, dude. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because I think the kid's hungry. I like his record. I like that he's got youth on his side, and Warlley. Let's face it, man. He's had 2 straight losses back to back. Before Usman, it was Brian Barberena. And,
tough fights, though.
Yeah, but like I was telling you, man, the last win he had was over Colby Covington. That was back in 2015. So I don't know, man. I'm kind of leaning. I'm leaning just simply based on, and it's not like he's old. Warlley's not old by any means, but what I meant by age is like the fight IQ. I thought I expected it to start changing and molding, and seeing that he didn't change much from Colby Covington to Kamaru Usman over that length of time, I expected more evolution that I didn't. More development. So in this particular fight, I'm gonna put Warlley to the side, and I'm gonna go with the new guy. And I'm going to take the new guy by, let's see. I'm going to take him by decision.
That's probably smart. Alves doesn't have any knockouts. He's never been finished. God, man, this fight is tricky. I just watched that kid's highlights, but what's tricky about it is, like, He was fighting in X Cage, BOW, Soul FC, PL MMA, Tech Crep. I don't know. I've never heard of any of these.
Right.
And then you've got Alves, whose last 5-6 fights in the UFC have been guys like Alan Jouban, Nordine Taleb, Colby Covington, and yeah, he's had his mess ups with Barberena and Usman, but wow, this one's tough to call. Alves is younger by 2 years. I don't know if you knew that. Salim's older.
Yeah, I was speaking youth coming into the UFC. I wasn't talking age. That was probably the wrong words to use there.
Oh, man. I'm going to go Salim. And it's not confident. I'm literally going off of a highlight reel.
Yeah, that's all I had to go off was that highlight reel off of YouTube. Is that what you grabbed?
That's what I just watched.
Okay, well that's what I'm going off of, and let's just see. Who knows? I
like Southpaw, so I'll gamble on it.
Right. Okay, well we'll come back and revisit that one because we really don't have a whole lot to go for on this guy. The next fight is Artem Lobov versus Andre Fili in the featherweight division. And we've got Lobov coming in, Mr. I train with Mr. Conor McGregor. Guys from Russia, fights out of Dublin, Ireland. Same gym, like I said, with McGregor. Began in lightweight division. His last fight versus Cub Swanson at featherweight. Dude, that was a great fight. It went 5 rounds. I think he took the first round, and then he just got outstruck for 4 solid rounds by Cub. Cub ended up winning by unanimous decision, and that was a hell of a main event. Teruto Ishihara, during that fight, it went all 3 rounds in that one, and let's see, I think Artem won by unanimous decision. He pretty much dominated that whole fight. I didn't write down, but I'm positive he won that fight. This dude's, he's coming up. This guy came out of tough, and we saw that he was, McGregor's homeboy, and McGregor's really rooting for him and had a lot of high hope for him. But he's had his ups and downs, and he seems to be getting better. I was really, like I said, really impressed that he was able to go all 5 rounds and have the high output that they had. He and Cub really put on a show. If we can get that kind of output from Lobov on this fight with Fili, I think it's going to be good things for Lobov. Fili, coming out of Sacramento, California with Team Alpha Male, this fool is really well-rounded. We watch this guy. He's got great takedown defense, got great takedowns. He's got good striking. I like his wrestling. I like him from his back. He's got good submission technique. But I'm going to be straight with you. If the guy that fought Cub Swanson comes to play here for just 3 rounds, I think he's going to pull this off. So for me, that kind of ultimately made my decision kind of easy because I haven't seen Fili go into those deep rounds just yet. So, that's where I'm at. Tell me what you're thinking.
I'm thinking Fili all the way. When you study film, Lobov's not the smartest fighter, and Fili seems to be more precise and is listening to a corner. And when you have Team Alpha Male in your corner telling you what to do and how to adapt on spot, I like that about Alpha Male fighters. They're huge. They're big into adapting during the fight, and you'll see guys like TJ Dillashaw. There's a perfect example. You'll see him game change 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a fight, and sometimes 5 times in a round. So that ability to have that and not just this Russian hammer punch of a chance. I got to go Fili here. Am I saying Lobov can't win? No, I'm not saying that. I think that if he lands the right punch, you can knock Fili out. It's already been done twice.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is there's levels to fight IQ, and Fili has quite a few levels on Lobov when it comes to MMA.
I will agree with you. I just think that Lobov's the tougher fighter, so I'm going Lobov. you have got the odds in your favor. Vegas has got Andre Fili just slightly above at -165. And these might change come fight time. Lobov's at +135. So that's a real close matchup there. And, it definitely reflects kind of what we're both saying is that, I think Lobov's got this. You think Fili's got this. And I think the world's probably looking at it the same way. Excuse me. I was just noticing the two losses. I can't remember if I saw that fight against Calvin Qatar.
Yeah.
Did we watch that one?
Yeah, we did. Fili just didn't show up. You could tell.
Yeah. And he lost that one by unanimous decision. And he won the fight before that against Hakron Diaz by unanimous decision. Mm-hmm. He had a loss before that, Yair Rodriguez with that flying head kick, which was just amazing. And then a win. So he's up and down. I mean, if you look at his record, it's literally since Max Holloway, it's a win, a loss, a win, a loss, a win, a loss. So he's due for a win. The question is he going to get it against somebody like Artem? So we'll come back and definitely discuss that one and see really how close things wind up being come fight time. This next fight coming up was another one that had some swap outs. I haven't heard the details yet as to what happened with the fighters that dropped off the card. But they were replaced, and when I went out and looked at him, like I said with that last guy, I was pretty pleased to see what they were bringing to the table. Next fight, we've got Sam Alves versus Ramazan Emeev, I think, middleweight division. Smiling Sam Alves, that dude's a wrestler, hard-hitting striker. Dude's got an amazing gas tank at times. At other times, I have sat and went, man, there's one thing you can depend on is that guy's gas tank, and then he starts to fade, and there's no power in his punches, and I'm just sitting there going, what is going on? What happened to this guy's tank? Last fight was a split decision win over Rashad Evans. That was a banger, dude. Those boys put it on the line. It was hard. It was hard to see Rashad take that loss because they went hard, both of them. Emeev, that guy, just from going out and looking at his highlights and seeing what he has, he's an impressive striker. Guy's got explosive power. He looks pretty well rounded, man. I was surprised with what I saw. Were you able to go out and catch any footage on him?
I did. You want to know what I think?
Yeah. Tell me.
I think we're due for a big surprise.
Yeah.
I think Emeev, you're Russian, you're Dagestanian. I think your Russian's going to pay off here. I finally agree with you on a Russian. From what I saw, he has the perfect stance every unorthodox boxer should have. If you're going to strike in MMA as an unorthodox, this dude's stance is how you do it. And another interesting note is Sam is 31-9. He has 18 KOs on his record, but get this. This is where it gets tricky. His last 4 fights in the UFC have all gone 3 rounds. And so you see those KOs and you're like, oh, shit, hell yeah, 6'2", 185. He's hitting the back end now, and he's not finding the shots that he used to be able to throw up against guys like Kevin Casey, Eric Spicely, Daniel Kelly. These aren't the same fighters, and I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but he should have knocked out Rashad.
Yeah.
And if you're going to knock out anybody, that's who you get it against, and you didn't.
Hey, this Russian, to your point, though, this guy's no slouch, man. I mean, he's a combat sambo world champion, a former M1 global middleweight champion. So this guy's no BS, man. He is going to bring the kitchen sink for Sam. But who'd you go with? What are you taking?
I'm going Emeev. I'm not going to probably put it on bet cards just because I know what Sam brings to the table, but I'm going on Emeev because I feel like he has less mileage. They're the same age, both of these guys, but he's going to have a Russian home crowd there in Poland. there's going to be a lot of factors that are fueling him to win this. Whereas Sam, it just seems like another fight. Like for instance, why isn't Sam fighting somebody ranked?
Mm-hmm.
Are you following me? Like,
Yeah.
why did this Russian get this fight against somebody like Sam, who he's got such an extensive MMA and UFC career? You would just think that he'd be fighting higher level guys. So I gotta think. But here's the other sketchy thing about this fight: is Sam is 4 inches taller.
Yeah, he's 6'2", and Emeev is 5'10", and that was the one thing I was concerned with really when I kind of looked at the tail of the tape. But man, Emeev throws bombs.
I like the way Emeev cuts off the angles of his opponents too. It makes that striking, to your point, that long sharp jab perfect. But the problem is Sam has the longer jab.
Yeah, he's got the reach. So let's see, what do we got? Ramazan Emeev is favored, -140. Sam Alvey +110. So literally, once again, a lot of these fights are so close right now on Vegas odds. It's hard to tell. I took Emeev by decision. What'd you go?
Emeev by decision.
Okay, cool. Let's hope that one works out for us. What do we got? Next one.
Brian Kelleher versus Damian the Webster Stasiak.
Yeah, bantamweight division.
Yeah, who you going?
I'm going Kelleher. Kelleher's a wrestler, fights out of New York. In July of 2017, he fought Marlon Chito Vera, and Chito finished Kelleher with an armbar literally 2 minutes into the first round. It was kind of a crazy fluke. However, it's Chito's really, really good at submissions.
Fucking love Chito.
Right? This guy trained with Aljamain Sterling to prepare for, is it Yuri Alcantara? Yuri, okay. And Kelleher won his UFC debut with him guillotine choke 2 minutes into the first round. So this guy
shocked the world.
Exactly. And you know what I mean? It was just kind of a reverse of fortune there in his last fight with Marlon. He's a tough dude, and he's got a lot of strength. He can take anybody down with by will alone. Stasiak, another Polish fighter fighting in hometown, black belt in karate, brown belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Guy's got good grappling skills. Watched his fight in May of 2017 against Pedro Munoz. At the time, Pedro was ranked number 12. And, man, Stasiak showed great cardio, awesome kicks from every different angle. The only problem is the kid leaves his chin exposed all the time.
All the time.
But on the flip end of that is he's proved he can take a shot. He lost that fight by unanimous decision. So I turned around and watched another fight that he had with Davey Grant from October in 2016, and he finished Davey in the third round with a nasty armbar, from Damian's back. And I was just like, wow, okay, well, this guy's got what it takes, but Brian looks like he's a beast. So I'm taking Brian. Let's see. I got Brian by decision. How about you?
I got Brian by decision, a ground and pound, just kind of beastly domination from the top. Damian loves to pull guard and be on his back and go for the triangle and hopefully invert that into some type of way to grab your arm for the arm bar. And he's really good at it. And Brian has a couple armbar losses on his record too, I noticed. So if Damian's going to win this fight, it's going to be by armbar. But I'm going Brian. I'm going Kelleher. Not that there's a crazy advantage on the ground. I think they're very even in that aspect. Mm-hmm. But the beastly nature that most of the time wins you fights, the difference between a Dillashaw and a Cody Garbrandt, the difference between a Stipe Miocic and an Alistair Overeem. There's a beastly nature in there, and Brian, when he gets popped, he responds a little bit differently. He doesn't want to go to the ground. He wants to pick your ass up and slam you on the mat. So I think the beastly nature here is what separates these two. And Kelleher by 3-round decision, yeah.
Vegas has Stasiak at -110, Kelleher at -120. So he
sounds about right.
Yeah, it's so closely matched there. That's gonna be a good one for sure.
I'm pretty confident with Brian. The Sam Alvey and Emeev fight, I'm not confident on, but this is when I feel like I found the silver lining in fighting, and that beastly nature, when you can find that in a man and then the other man doesn't have it, you kind of, it's a red flag for me, at least. Not that Damian can't win, it's just you usually don't. You're being hammered.
You think it's going to be a performance of the night or anything like that?
Oh, no, not this fight. Gotcha. Not this fight. I think this fight will get pretty ugly.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Next fight we've got on the heavyweight card, Anthony Hamilton versus Adam, what is it? Wieczorek?
I have no idea.
Let's just call him Adam. Anthony versus Adam in the heavyweight division. Yeah, so Anthony Hamilton, man, big old boy wrestler with big knockout power. That fight versus Marcel Fortuna in Fortuna's debut, Hamilton got rocked by a heavy right hand and then followed up with another as soon as Anthony got his senses back. And, man, I felt bad for him. Marcel made a big splash moving up in the weight class and knocking Anthony out in the first round. I was shocked. I watched his fight versus Francis Ngannou, where Francis took Anthony down early in round 1, submitted him moments later by Kimura. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not impressed with Hamilton anymore. I know he was a great wrestler, but I mean, there's just nothing he's doing that's making me particularly fond of him in this fight either. I didn't know anything about Adam. I went and pulled his footage up off of YouTube, and the dude he's a huge guy. I like what he brings. He looked real good on his feet. Enough so, like I said, there's not a whole lot I can tell you about him. But I liked him enough so that I actually picked him.
You did?
Yeah, I went in and switched. So I've got him by knockout TKO in round 2. So yeah, I saw enough to think that he was going to literally come in there and put it on him. What are you thinking?
This might come back to bite me in my ass, because fuck me, every time I go with Anthony Hamilton, it just seems like he makes the same fucking mistake. But I can't go with the dude who his best fight was a submission rear naked choke in Spartan Fight 5. I can't. I mean, my fight logic just says, dude, Anthony Hamilton has fought guys like Francis Ngannou, Damian Grabowski, Todd Duffy, Alexei Oleanik. I could go on, Walt Harris. I could keep going on with big names that this guy's that this guy's won against and lost against. And that whole shit with Daniel Spitz was just, I mean, it was just retarded. I don't know. Well, what happened is the same thing that fucking happened in his last 2 fights. He gets overexcited, he pushes the fight too aggressively, and he leaves his fucking chin wide open. But my problem with this fight is I was going to go for like the bigger heavyweight, but you look at these guys, they're both 6'5", they're both 255 pounds plus. But I'm going to go Anthony Hamilton because he trains at Jackson Wink and he has experience in the UFC. That's it. There's nothing. It's very cut and dry for me. I don't have a clear prediction on the winner of this. I just got to go with experience here, especially as a heavyweight. I don't know. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong because it's Anthony Hamilton. I got to go with what my mind's telling me rather than my gut, which is like, fuck Anthony Hamilton.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I'm at, man. I mean, it's just I'm saying fuck Anthony Hamilton. I'm tired of it. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go with this new guy because he's going to come out. He's going to bring it.
Yeah, well, yeah, and he's got his home crowd in front of him.
Yep.
But, I mean, Hamilton, if he hopes to fight in the UFC after this, he has to win this.
Dude, this is his 3rd loss. This could possibly be his 4th, and I don't know that he'll be able to continue on after that.
Yeah, so I'm going to hope that pulls the best out of him, because when he does connect, we've seen. If he connects with his hand, you're going to sleep. There's no... And I think that's the differential between him and Adam, is Adam doesn't necessarily rely on that. Mm-hmm. Just brute strength, but fuck, we'll see.
So check this out. Vegas has got Adam favored, -140. Anthony Hamilton,
really?
+110. How you like that?
Holy shit.
Right? So somebody's seeing what I'm seeing.
Somebody, yeah.
Somebody. All right. Well, listen, the next fight we've got, we'll come back and talk about that one next week. The next one on the card is Marcin Held versus Nasrat. What? You say it.
Haqparast?
Sure.
Haqparast?
Haqparast, sure. And let me just start off. This is one of the heaviest favored odds on the card. Marcin Held has got -400 odds on this. Nasrat's +300. I just wanted to preface that. So you go ahead.
I'm going. Call me crazy. I called the John Moraga fight at +355 odds. I'm calling this at +300. I think Nasrat, the Rat from Afghanistan. I think he's got what it takes. I studied his film, and this dude is hyper aggressive. He loves to dominate. He loves to smother. He loves to knock you out and not even give you a fucking chance. And those are the fighters that excite me. Those are the fighters that make me want to watch this sport.
Yeah.
And I don't care if he wins or loses. It's his first fight in the UFC against a Marcin Held who we've seen before. He can't stand up worth a shit. And this isn't the guy you want to stand with in Nasrat.
Right.
The odds are what they are because this dude's coming out of Afghanistan. He's fought in a bunch of unknown leagues. But this guy's really got it. He's got everything you need and all the ingredients that can form a future champion. And he's 22, so the mileage there is very little. And at King's MMA, there's lots of prodigies coming out of that gym right now. That's a very, very suspect gym that's going to become something much bigger than what it is today. Much like we've seen with the smaller gyms back in the day, the Jackson Winks, American Top Teams, Alpha Male. These were all small gyms in the beginning, but it takes fighters like these guys with the mentality of I'm going to bring it whether I win or lose. And he doesn't care if he loses.
Right.
All he cares is that he goes out and tries to knock you out. His last his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights have ended by TKO punches and elbows.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm going him. Marcin Held, I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a jiu-jitsu world champion. He's got his home crowd with him. He should be able to win this fight. But he likes to stand with guys you shouldn't be standing with. He's got losses to guys like Damir Hadzovic, Joe Lazan, Diego Sanchez, guys that are much older on the back half of their career, and he's losing them by 3-round decisions and KOs. So he hasn't won a UFC fight yet, and his last win was in 2016 in Bellator. So I think that the ability not to stand, Marcin doesn't have some vicious intent in his arsenal of thinking. He's way more thought out and seems to be 2 to 3 steps behind until you go to the ground. And this dude is just going to beat your fucking ass on the ground the entire time you're there, whether he's on bottom or top. So I'm going Nasrat pretty confidently with the odds here.
I'm with you, man. I'm shocked that we both came to the same conclusion. At the same time, I'm not, because everything you just said is exactly what I saw.
It's film study.
And Held, even with his Polish fans behind him, I don't know that he's got, like you said, everything that I had wrote down, all my little notes are pretty much the same. One thing about Held that I think is cool is he had his first martial arts fight at 16 years old. Dude's been training since he was 9. You mentioned the losses. I gotta say, I went back and watched the fight against Damir and Hadzovic, and that was in May of this year, 2017. And dude, I would say that he had the first 2 rounds. He had excellent takedown in the middle of the first round, and he grinded.
Didn't he gas in the third?
No. He ground his way through it. He finished off the round. He dominated Damir on top. The second round was more of the same that happened in round 1. And then in a shocking twist, Damir, he catches Marcin with a knee to the chin when Marcin went for a takedown and knocked his ass out. And it was just like, and it was in the first minute of the third round. I thought Held had that fight. I thought it was going to be his first win. I trust me, when you go watch that fight, because it's a hell of a knockout, you'll see it the way I see it. Arguably, Held had that fight. Had he?
We did have Held up 2 rounds. I forgot.
Yeah, and had he finished the fight the way he started it in that third round, man, he didn't even need to go for the takedown. So again, fight IQ came up. It was it was more of the same, I thought, really, with that fight with Joe Lozon and Diego Nightmare Sanchez pretty much did the same thing. I expected Marcin to walk away with more fight IQ from those fights. That's all.
There's a learning disability going on.
Yes, and Haqparast, this dude, he's formerly from Afghanistan. That fool's tougher than nails. And like you mentioned, almost all of his wins are by knockout or TKO. So that was enough after watching his highlight reel, that was enough for me to lean his way. I'm with you. I am going Haqparast. I'm taking it by knockout or TKO in round 2.
TKO round 2.
All right. Next fight on the card is Jonathan Wilson versus Oskar Piechota in the light heavyweight division. You want to go first?
No, I want to hear what you got on this one.
All right. Well, we got Wilson. Jonathan Wilson, his last fight was October 2016, versus Ion Cutelaba. He took a loss by unanimous decision in that one. Prior to that, he took a loss to Henrique da Silva by a knockout. And, man, Jonathan's having a tough time, dude. He doesn't look like he gets the better of his opponent, in anything. In striking, ground game, control, there's nothing that really stands out to me. I'm not overly impressed with Wilson. I haven't been. As a matter of fact, the one time I did bet on him, I lost. So, Piechota, Oskar, dude, this guy is a tall, precision striker. I love this guy's strikes, man. I mean, good, amazing kicks. I was surprised because I really didn't know a whole lot about Piechota. This being his UFC debut. Again, this kid's gonna bring it. I don't know. Why don't I just go ahead and check the odds right now? Well, the odds do reflect what I'm saying here. Vegas has Oskar at -205 and Jonathan Wilson at +165. So once again, somebody's seeing something in these guys. They're hungry. I guess that's part of it. But at the same time, everything that I saw from this kid in his highlight reel, he's so aggressive, man, and tons of wins. But they're all in, all of them are in like Cage Warriors or Spartan, the European fight network. So I don't know any of the people that he's fighting. I couldn't tell you, what the level of competition those opponents were at. But I don't think Jonathan Wilson is anything superior from what I saw him fighting in his YouTube highlights. So I'm taking Oskar Piechota, by decision. How about you?
This one's a little different fight because Piechota, if I'm saying that right, he's orthodox. He's got real crisp hooks, a super strong right hand. I like how precise his offhand is, and it's super precise, which if you have a precise offhand, that means your main hand's probably 5 times as precise. He sets up his high kicks with 1-2s, so he throws that fake jab, fake cross, and then throws the roundhouse kick, and that's how you fucking throw a roundhouse. You don't just throw a jab and then throw it. You set it up. So I really like that about him. He's got nice takedown ability from double underhooks in the clinch and against the cage, and I think that's what's going to happen on this fight. I think that he's going to drive Jonathan Wilson against the cage because Wilson is the larger fighter in this, so you're going to want to take the space away. And I think he's going to put him in double unders or find a way to grind him against the cage and eventually get this to the ground and do what Chota does and just really kind of put it on Wilson. But I'm not taking anything away from Wilson. The dude is a southpaw. He's got a sharp, compact, straight left. I really like that. He doesn't use it enough, and he doesn't throw it really in the right way or when he needs to. But when he does, it's really, really powerful. The thing I like about
what do you think about these fighters that? I've seen a couple of them come up recently. He hasn't had a fight since October of 2016. What does that say?
I don't really know what it says. He's a warrior, though.
Yeah, I won't take that away from him.
I mean, he's a warrior, and he's got lots of heart. In that fight with Kudelaba, the fact that he went in a 3-round decision fight, Kude can tap you with his pinky and he'll drop guys. So he took the beating from that man, and he should have been knocked out because the whole fight he was on his back foot. He never came forward. So Kudelaba was just kind of gassing, hitting him from every direction, body shots, and the dude wouldn't fall down and stay down. So I do like that about Wilson. He's got a chin and a heart from a different planet. But as far as the IQ and from the technical perspective, yes, I understand that Oskar is the newcomer and he has no UFC fights on his belt. But when you're that technically advanced in fighting, and specifically in MMA, it shows. You watch the tape and you'll see the difference in physicality in these. I mean, not physicality, in IQ. So right. Because of that, I'm going Oskar with a knockout.
All right, sounds good. Next fight, we've got Jan. What is it? Blachowicz?
Yep.
Versus Devin Clark. I watched a lot on Blachowicz because I didn't really know a lot about that dude. Another Polish fighter. I can't believe how many Polish fighters and Kazakhstan, Stanian, Russian. Jesus, they're all over there on this card. Blachowicz is a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think the guy's got good, clean technical strikes. He mixes it with good Muay Thai work. Guy worked with Dominic Cruz in the beginning of his career. I watched his last fight with Patrick Cummings at UFC 210 in April of this year. And, by half of the first round, Jan was beating Cummings' ass. Just really, really throwing it on him.
He gassed trying to go for the knockout, right? If I remember that correctly.
Yeah. What have you seen his fights?
I have, and the only reason why I have is because he's fought guys like Alexander Gustafsson, went 3 rounds with him. He's fought guys like Jimmy Manua, went 3 rounds with him. He's gone against. He even has a win over Alir Latifi back in 2014. So I've watched this guy kind of come up, but we have to go back to that whole. He's on the end of his career. He's catching losses consecutively and then finding a win in there to keep him around. But if you can't beat Patrick Cummins and you can't knock that man out, Devin Clark's wrestling is about 3 times as good. And Patrick Cummins is an NCAA wrestler. And Clark's an even higher ranked, I don't know if he was All-American or what, but I do know his wrestling pedigree and the film study that we saw on the man. He's not that great of a fighter. It's his fucking wrestling and strength that he outpowers everybody he fights.
Dude, can you believe the guy's been fighting in the UFC since 2014?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, seriously, he's fought big guys. Latifi, Jimmy Manua, Corey Anderson, like you said, Gustafsson, Patrick Cummings. Those are some big old boys. So, yeah, man, I'll tell you what, since coming into the UFC, he's only had 2 wins to 4 losses. That's a big one for me right there. I mean, this guy, like you said, back end of his career, guy's got 26 fights, 19 wins, 7 losses.
If you can't beat Pat Cummins, you're not going to beat Devin Clark.
And that's kind of how I looked at it. I mean, without saying much more, that's precisely how I felt about the whole thing, was if you can't finish out Cummins, I don't know that you can handle what Devin Clark's going to be bringing. So,
right. Another interesting note: the Brown Bear, Devin Clark, he trains at Jackson Wink, and all they do is stamina and conditioning.
I took Devin Clark by decision.
Yeah, I'll take it by decision too. I think you're right on the money there. Statistically, Devin's a grinder. Jackson, the Winkle brothers are completely aware of that, and they formulate a game plan that helps him. Because he has a NCAA wrestling pedigree, they know he has no problem going round after round after round after round. He doesn't. It's not there. You have to knock the man's lights out like Alex Nicholson did if you hope to beat him, because he's going to beat you on the ground because he's physically stronger and more dominant. But, you know, with Jan being the taller fighter here, he certainly has a shot with striking, but you couldn't knock out Pat Cummins.
Right.
So I could see Jan getting a win here and us going, okay, well, good for him. He'll stick around for another and lose another 2 fights and then win and probably another one.
And exactly what you're saying, Vegas odds reflects the same thing. Devin Clark, slight edge, -155. Jan plus 125. So
those
exactly what you just said. Jan has every opportunity to land that big one and put him out, but he couldn't put out Cummins.
Right, and from an experience outlook, Jan should be able to work Devin Clark.
Right.
I mean, statistically, it doesn't work out that way, but experience-wise, Jan has fought and gone 3 rounds with the top talent in this country. We're talking top 2 talent in his division currently. So, you know, those have to count for something, and that fight experience has to count for something. But when you go out and lose a fucking fight that you should have dominated Patrick Cummins, like you should have dominated him. Yeah. And to allow that dude to come back in the fight and work your ass for a round and a half and let the guy lay on you, beat you up, move you around, Devin will do that for 5 rounds. So I just think logistically Devin should be able to take this fight. And but God, I could totally see Jan getting a knockout too. So the odds are perfect on that fight.
Yeah. Well, like I said, man, in that fight with Cummins, Jan should have won that fight. I mean, he was beating Cummins' ass and just didn't have what it took to finish him. So the next fight comes up is Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Jodie Esquibel in the women's strawweight division. Karolina being one of my favorites. I love that girl. I love her boxing skills. I just want to say about Karolina is I felt like she gave Joanna one hell of a run for her money on her feet, simply because she's such a great boxer. However, her fight versus ranked number 1 Claudia Gadelha, when Karolina was ranked at number 2, Claudia finished her with no problem. All she had to do was take her down, finish her with a rear naked choke early in the first round. Karolina had absolutely no answer for Claudia's ground game whatsoever. If there is one thing that she definitely exposed, was the fact that Karolina truly doesn't have much of a ground game at all. Her defense was not there. So, yeah, Jodie Esquibel, do you know anything about this girl? Because I knew hardly anything.
I don't know a goddamn thing, really. I know that she trains at Jackson Wink, and I saw her listed on the roster a couple months ago, but that's about it.
Right. Well, she's a mixed martial artist. She fights out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. She was originally fighting with Invicta FC. Her professional record, she's had 8 fights, 6 wins, 2 losses. None of the names other than Alexa Grasso did I recognize, and she took a loss to her in Invicta FC. Alexa, I don't know if you remember, used to fight for UFC. And that's about the only name that I saw on her streak. She's got, like I said, 2 losses in her professional fight, and one of them comes against the only name that I recognize. So, I don't really know. There's not a whole lot. I went out to try to watch what they had out there on YouTube for Jodie, and I'm just left. I haven't seen enough.
I haven't either. That was my big setback.
I haven't seen enough of what she's capable of doing, especially at UFC level. But I will say this much. If you're going to stand with my girl, Karolina's going to rock you. So I'm just going to say Karolina by decision. Because I just have no idea how this is going to go. If it stays on its feet, though, I definitely... And I'm just pulling up Vegas odds, which show Karolina a huge favorite, negative 450. Jodie at plus 325. So this is the biggest favored odds on the card tonight for Saturday night, at least as it sits right now.
Karolina is Poland's draw right now.
Yeah,
that is Poland's future. Unless is Vulcan Polish? I can't remember. We'll have to look that up. But right now, Karolina is all of Poland's hope for MMA, and she showed that when she fought Joanna and went 3 rounds. And what happened in her last fight is just a shame, really, because she's so much better than that. And I'm sure she learned you have to catch that quick loss in the UFC at some point in your career, and you'll learn, and it'll never happen again.
Right. Well, you hope.
But you hope, right? But I don't think this fight should have even really been booked for Jodie. I think Karolina is on another level. I think that having her home crowd behind her to push her after that embarrassing loss, like we saw Karolina crying after that loss because she'd never been done like that.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about the girl's wins, I mean, we've watched her beat. I mean, think the next chick that gets to fight for the belt, Rose Namajunas.
Karolina beat her.
She beat Heather Jo Clark, Randa Marcos. I mean, the girl, she's a scrapper, dude. This girl throws down. So yeah, she lost her. I think that was her first loss to Joanna, and then turned around, and thought I really thought she was going to give Claudia a run for her money. But again, I had no idea. She had no ground answer whatsoever for somebody at that level. So that's her. That's where she's been exposed. I guess Jodie doesn't have much of a ground game, or the odds wouldn't be the way they are. So I assume we're safe here.
I assume you're very safe. I'm going to say you're safe enough to even throw her in your parlays and make just that extra 20, 30, 40 bucks, because this fight we got to go back to, there's levels. There's levels to this sport, and you can go back and look at our last podcast before this. It's a concept we're really starting to touch on, because the more and more you watch this and the years that we've spent doing it, you start to notice that the levels is ultimately the determining factor with fights like these. And does Jodie have a fighter's chance? Always. There's always a fighter's chance. But it's hard to look at the records, it's hard to look at the fights, and it's hard to look at the UFC base and go, why did Jodie get this fight? Mm-hmm. Why is Karolina not fighting top 5, top 3 talent?
I wondered the same thing. I really did. It didn't make sense to me, but oh well. I don't.
But it would be good for Poland, though, for Karolina to get a win in a dominating fashion.
Right.
It makes sense. There's, that's why she is the co-main, and a Polish fighter isn't on the main event.
True.
They put a Polish co-main because they want that to be the draw, which is the right move. I just don't think that Jodie should have signed this. I think that to come in and fight her first UFC fight out of Invicta, and it has to be Karolina, and she doesn't knock girls out. She doesn't submit girls. She relies on the decision. I don't understand why this happened, and I'm all about underdogs. So get me wrong.
Yeah,
you want your underdog. Go hit on Nasrat.
Mm-hmm.
Go hit on Emeev if you want underdogs. Go that route. This is not the underdog that you want to put in your card, because there's levels to this. So Karolina by 3-round decision.
All right, cool. We agree. Our last fight and the main event on the card in the welterweight division, Donald Cerrone versus Darren Till. And I just got to start off with, I've been talking back and forth about this fight for the last couple weeks. I was really excited for Darren when I follow the guy. And when he got his contract for this fight, man, he was so excited, dude. He's so anxious. Donald Cerrone, let me just say this. Darren Till, I've been following from his debut to the UFC. I love this kid. I really do. I'm really, really pumped about the evolution of Darren Till. And if you haven't seen what the guy offers, man, he brings exciting striking to the game every time he comes in. You're going to get the same show. He's going to give you round after round of high intensity strikes. I just love the kid. He's just the epitome of a fighter. He does everything, in my opinion, that you want to see a fighter do. What's funny is I would have said the same about Donald Cerrone. Back on his come up. Back in his come up, I would have said the same thing. I would have actually described him very similar. First strike against Donald Cerrone from me. You wear a fucking cowboy hat. Second strike is you wear the fucking cowboy hat to the UFC. This is a fight, not a rodeo, you fucking cowboy. But anyways, yeah, no, taking my personal opinion out of it, I love Donald Cerrone. The fool almost never does me wrong. I've always, I mean, you'll testify. I almost always lean on Cerrone to get me the win, and he almost always pulls it off. Fools only let me down twice that I can ever remember. Darren Till hadn't let me down yet. But I'm going to be straight with you. Donald Cerrone is a force to be reckoned with. And until I see that he no longer has it, I have to just give the slight edge. The advantage comes from the ability to weather storms for 5 solid rounds. This is not his first main event. This guy is known for going 5-rounders. He goes full gas tank from round 1 to round 5. I have yet to see Darren Till go 5. It's the only advantage I could really see to Cerrone's advantage. So therefore, I'm taking Donald Cerrone.
Bye.
I'm going to take Cerrone by knockout, take TKO round 2.
TKO? Ah, damn. Well, I guess let me take what you said and ask you this. If it was Darren Till versus Jorge Masvidal, who are you taking?
Oh, man. I think I'd probably go Till.
Okay, interesting. Jorge Masvidal knocked out Donald Cerrone in the second round.
I know. I said Donald's only let me down twice. That was one of them.
Oh man, this has been a really, really fun fight to watch highlights on, to talk about, to indulge in, because this is a fight. Like, you got the 24-year-old who has the world ahead of him, boxing from hell. I mean, Darren Till's hands are so sharp right now. His last fight against Bojan kind of blew my mind. Like if he could generate just a little more knockout power with the precision he has with his hands, he'll go all the way undefeated.
Oh, yeah, his striking accuracy is amazing.
Right. I mean, he's 15-0 with 9 KOs for a reason. I mean, the kid just doesn't have very many weaknesses other than he leaves his chin out a little bit for the counter. Because he knows that's what he wants to connect is with his hands. So he'll leave his chin out a bit, and we've kind of gotten onto that and noticed that. But, I'm not taking anything from Cerrone. Like, I've loved him from the moment he came into the UFC, and he's the 34-year-old, so he's 10 years older. Coming out of Jackson Wink, he's always conditioned. He's always got 5 rounds in him. He is I think what we don't talk about with Cerrone enough, because his Muay Thai is excellent, what we don't talk about enough is how unorthodox his submission game is. Back in the day, like 2015 back, if you go look, we've got, rear naked chokes. We've got triangle chokes. We've got triangle chokes. We've got guillotine chokes. He used to love those chokes, but you go back in his last 5 fights and he's either getting knocked out, going to decision, or knocking out people himself. It seems like he's almost dropped the jiu-jitsu. And I'm not sure really why that is, because when you're older, I would think you would want to apply that more and bang less. So because of that, because Donald statistically right now in his past 5 fights, he likes to bang it out, I don't know how smart that is with the young, hungry buck at home. It keeps hitting me that this is a 5-round fight, and Cerrone certainly favors a 5-round fight, and that's why he does have the odds on Vegas. And it'll probably continue to be that way till the fight. You won't see much budge, I don't think, unless they square off and they're super aggressive, and that'll change the odds at the weigh-ins. We've seen that before, but otherwise, I think the odds are very good at where they at, and I'm pretty confident in taking Darren as the underdog, win or lose, because this fight's so much more even to me. And I know it's even to me, but I know that Vegas got it right, if that makes sense. Like, they called it right in the sense that Darren has to beat Cerrone so for you to really understand if he's capable of taking out top 5 individuals.
Right, and the odds reflect that it's really close. I mean, -165 for Cerrone, +135 for Till. That's not a huge separation there at all. So, Vegas is kind of seeing it the same way. This is a close fight. But ultimately, what did it for me was the 5 rounds.
Yeah, I think that it's an educated, like, you're definitely using more of your mind on this fight, and I see that as being a silver lining. But I also can see Darren's lack of mileage being a silver lining as well. And if we're talking knockouts and standing up and banging, Darren's never been knocked out, and he's fought some guys that could and maybe should have knocked him out.
You're right. He's been rocked.
Right.
And that's what I said. We'll see. I mean, I may come back here and just be like, you know what? Go Till. And I hope that I can actually say that. But something tells me that this may be his first knockout. I don't know. He's ever been rocked the way Cerrone can rock a guy. We'll see. Right. We'll see. Because it really, like you said, it depends. Does Cerrone still have it? Because if he does.
Yep. That was the other thing, though. I mean, when Cerrone gets popped, the mileage is added up so much in his 15-year pedigree of fighting. And you got to remember, man, if I remember correctly, this dude came out of the WEC into UFC, and the WEC, they bang hard with much less regulation. But goddamn, he's just fucking won so many great fights and then lost to great fighters, guys like RDA and John Makadesi, and he's won against Benson Henderson back in 2015. But man, I don't know why it just feels like that's so long ago, and I feel like his time to get the belt was 2 years ago, and he never got it. And now we have to be comfortable in knowing that he's one of those guys that just takes fights to take them because they're offered. He says it himself. He doesn't deny a fight. And that's why he has such a long pedigree. But he does have three KO losses on his record, and 2 of those have come within the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. And
it's starting to show the age, maybe.
Right, it's starting to show that when he gets rocked, he doesn't come back the way that he used to. Mm-hmm. I used to watch Cerrone get hit in his shit. I watched his chin get rocked into his neck. He'd fall and hit the ground. The dude would jump on him. Cerrone would pull him in rubber guard, pull his shin over the dude's neck, and buy time and sit there and elbow him and sit there and collect his thoughts and what he's doing and where he's at. He used to do that shit, and now when he gets rocked, if you watch the film, he doesn't seem to come back in that quick nature, which is expected. The dude is getting older, and that is my whole reason. That's my silver lining. Like, your silver lining is Cerrone's experience in 5 rounds. My silver lining is Cerrone's experience in general catching up with the young buck. But it could work either way, and that's why the odds are what they are.
All right, so you got Till.
I got Darren Till knockout round 2.
Wow, we are exact opposites. Right on. That's going to be a fun one to watch for us. We'll enjoy the hell out of that, because I love it when we pick opposites for the mains. It always makes it fun. Yeah. All right, well, we'll come back here next time, and we'll talk about that and discuss what went right, what went wrong. I don't know if I threw it out there or not. I can't remember. So if you missed what the possible fight of the night for me is going to be, it's Marcin Held versus Nasrat Haqparast. So keep that in mind if you're going to try to win that Bisbing card, okay? So yeah, we'll be back next week. We're going to break down UFC Fight Night Brunson versus Machida. Saturday, October 28th in Sao Paulo, Brazil, live on FS1. And then we'll definitely be coming back, which we're really looking forward to discuss UFC 217, Bisping versus St. Pierre. That's Saturday, November 4th, New York City, Madison Square Gardens, live on pay-per-view. Man, I'm so excited for that UFC, I can't even tell you.
I agree. And please make sure to come back next week for Fight Night 119 for Brunson versus Piechota. Lots of explosive. This card shouldn't be free. It really, really should not be free. I would pay to see every one of these fights, other than maybe the last one with. Actually, no, I would pay to even see the last one. But I mean, guys like Machida, Brunson, Damian Maia, Colvington, Trinaldo, Jim Miller, Jack Hermanson, John Lineker, Cheeto Vera, Nico Price, Boston Salmon, the new pickup from the Tuesday Night Contender Series. He has his first fight. Todio Carlos Jr., Alizu Zaleski dos Santos, the knockout king right now. Jared Gordon, another dude that got picked up. The Monkey God, Jared Bro. I mean, that's such a wonderful card for free fights. I cannot believe they're not charging those.
Definitely mark your calendar for that. And you tried to get away from it, but I'm not going to let you, because my card on 217. I mean, can you ask for anything better? Seriously. Bisping, St. Pierre main card. Follow up to that, Garbrandt versus Dillashaw for another belt. Then another belt with Joanna God damn it, her last name. If I'm looking at her last name the way it is spelled, I never get it right. But if I look away, like I'm not looking at it now, Joanna Jurgic? See? Damn it. Anyways,
I just say Joanna.
Joanna versus Rose Namajunas for another belt. You got Wonder Boy Stephen Thompson versus Jorge Masvidal. We got my boy James Vick versus Joe Duffy. Dude,
Texas native.
Yeah, man, and I'm not playing. Every one of those fights that I just mentioned is going to be the shit.
My boy Mickey Gall's on there, and Alexei Oleanik, and Curtis Blades. To think that we're going from the free fights next week, which that's just going to be bangers, and then into the biggest card of the year. I mean, it's a good time to be an MMA fan, and it's a good time to be listening to SDP on MMA.
I hear that. Hey, man, we're just going to retouch real quickly on some of the highlights that from our last UFC, because I don't want to get out of here without at least congratulating Tony Ferguson on his devastating win over Kevin Lee for the interim belt. Yes?
Yep, and let's not forget Mighty Mouse with the submission armbar of the year. If you haven't seen that, you need to go see that.
Dude, Demetrius Johnson, what he did to Ray Borg, that just shows you everything you were talking about levels. There it was. I mean, that was an amazing. You got to go see that fight. Period. You hit it right on the money. That was the highlight out of the night, in my opinion. It was the finish of the night. I was shocked that he didn't get a bonus for that. But yeah, that was an amazing one. And the one with Cody Stamann versus Tom DeQuiznoy, that was another really good one. And Cody came out on top of that. I was happy to see. I knew it could go either way. Mm-hmm. But it was cool to see Stamann come out there and do what he hoped to do, which was just bang and bang and bang.
Yep. And then John Moraga with the round 1 KO. Punch. Finally, a Russian goes down.
Oh my God, man, that was devastating, What is it, Babulatov?
Yep.
Yeah, Babulatov went down. That one, Moraga got a bonus on that.
Was that KO of the night?
I don't know. Let me look and see what we got. Fight of the night was Venata versus Bobby Green.
Oh, that was a good fight.
It was a good fight, and the performance of the night was Demetrius Johnson and John Moraga.
Yeah, Moraga, once again making me proud to share a birthday with the guy. With plus 350 odds, the dude comes out and KOs his opponent like that.
I see. I'm sorry. I said earlier, I was going, what? It says here Demetrius Johnson, he didn't get a win bonus, but he did get the performance bonus. So he got the performance of the night.
He deserved that. And yeah, you hit that right. Tony Ferguson and DJ, you want to see fights where levels represent who's going to win a fight prior to the fight ever happening, those two guys show you there's levels to the sport, and because of it, you can win just because you're 5 steps ahead.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, we're going to wrap it up. It's been fun. We've enjoyed the hell out of it. We always enjoy coming here and kind of laying out what's in our heads. We spend a lot of time reminiscing on past fights. We spend a lot of time talking about future fights. And we're just happy that there's people out there that care to listen to what the hell we have to say. So we hope it keeps growing. If you're out there, comment, leave us a comment. Reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SDP_MMA. And we'd love to hear from you.
Hell yeah, and drop comments letting us know who you got between Till and Cerrone. Considering we're going opposite, maybe we can start building our teams and then come back next week and talk a bunch of shit.
Yeah, get in there and win that card, somebody. I'm anxious to give it away. So tune in before every UFC fight for our predictions and analysis. Become a part of our MMA family. Till next time, be healthy. Live to fight another day. SDP on MMA. Y'all be good, be safe, be healthy. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.